Numbers, numbers, and numbers. They control every aspect of the game. It's how items and traits push units into becoming stronger in their own unique way. All great players have a fairly good understanding of how the underlying stats work in the game to ensure they're coming up with the best strategies on the fly, instead of just solely relying on tier lists. It will also help you understand why some enemies are stronger. Hey, I got this in the bag. Hit him! Oh, no! So from the fundamentals to advanced stuff, by covering how these numbers really work, this guide will provide a bunch of hidden gameplay tips. Also check out my current and future guides to gain even more teamfight tactic secrets. But for now, this is the Disms channel. My name's David, and let's get to it. Firstly, Giant's Belt gives health points. Each bar here represents 300 HP. Besides preventing death, more health can increase the effectiveness of some items, traits, and abilities. However, extra health can result in champions taking additional damage. Furthermore, health can affect how abilities work around champions based off their missing percentages. There are also a few ways champions can heal from the damage dealt to them. Take note, when shapeshifters, who have their synergy buff, transform, their current maximum health is multiplied, and this boost will include health items and even Lulu's health boost, leading to some tough champs. So overall, as health can provide some unique sources of value, consider these mechanics when distributing Giant's Belts and picking champions. Equally as important though is Tear of the Goddess, which increases starting mana before a battle. Attacking even when dodged and taking damage will give mana within a certain range with a hint of chance. So, attacks randomly give 6 to 10 mana for rank 0 and 1 units. If they're rank 2 or 3, it will always be 10. Only a few traits and items will boost these attack amounts. If a unit has both the elemental and sorcerer trait, mana will not double up to 4, it's just 3 times as usual. And here's the other ways mana can increase throughout a battle. On the other side of the coin, when it comes to taking damage, units will gain 1 to 50 mana depending on the amount of pre-mitigated damage per hit, meaning armor and other damage reducers and rank won't affect these gains. It's all about the raw damage number from the enemy or burn, along with a little bit of fluctuation. Then, once a champion does reach max mana and there's a target in range, while they're not stunned, they will cast their ability. It's good to note straight after a champion casts their move or is inflicted by Hush, they suffer mana lock, where they cannot gain any mana for a short time. Also, some champions always start with a bit of mana in battle, while others have no mana or activate abilities at all. And even though it says Kassadin steals mana for a shield, he always gains the exact same shield per hit even if his target has no mana. But, all up, deciding who to give the mana to is all about their abilities. And most of these abilities are improved by Needlessly Large Rod, as it increases spell power. This number is multiplied by a move's magic damage, true damage, shields, and healing by a percentage, meaning bigger numbers create even bigger bonuses. Although items and traits that have magic damaging effects are not influenced by ability power. Neither are abilities that don't include the mentioned categories, which is indicated with a hyphen. So remember that not everyone will be getting the most value out of the rod. But one thing everyone can use is the BF Sword, which increases the physical damage from basic attacks and improves some abilities. Champions will continually attack whoever is closest to them. If enemies are equally as close, they will randomly pick one to attack. It is also random which units will walk and which will give way. They will only choose another champion to attack when they have been stunned or the enemy has gone out of that range. But this attack range is all measured in distance, which has unclear numbers. But they don't matter anyway, as champions initially have 4 different ranges which represent 1 to 4 tiles away. And the game doesn't measure a half tile away or a full tile. A champion can only occupy 1 tile at a time, ensuring that even if they are on the edge of a space, they will still get hit by anything passing there. But this also means they're safe from being caught in the crossfire of 2 tiles at once. It's best just to remember that range is only measured by tiles as if the attack were to walk there, so there's no cutting corners, which explains why some units look like they're getting closer to attack. And so, once an attack does reach an enemy, it will have a 25% chance to crit, doing 50% extra damage. Critical chances from attacks and abilities can be boosted through a few ways. Like the sparring gloves, which provide 10% more crit chance and dodge chance, although this item will lose one of these stats and become 20% of the other depending on what item it mixes with. Offensive items create 20% crit, defensive items lead to 20% dodge, and if mixed with itself or the spatula, become 20% of both, or with a tier it stays at 10%. Then, there are a few ways to boost the crit multiplier, increasing either attack or spell damage. The only downside for crits is that champions with Phantom Dancer dodge these attacks, unless the attacker also has a full wild buff. Another thing that can be dodged are on-hit effects, which are when abilities apply all added bonuses your champion has from basic attacks, including the original attack damage, lifesteal, range increases, and critical strike damage, usually. With area of effect moves, critical strikes will either crit everyone or no one. Another downside to abilities that apply on-hit effects is that they won't apply Moraloricon or Luden's Ekko, as they are not seen as spells. So overall, these sorts of items are best on champs who can apply these effects the most, through multiple hit abilities. But regardless of how it occurs, these damage types are reduced by armor and magic resist, which can be increased through chain vests and Negatron cloaks. With a simple formula and a bit of math, we can see how, say, 20 armor leads to units only taking about 83% of the damage, or avoiding around 16-ish percentage of it. But what's weird is the more armor or magic resist you stack on, the less bang for your buck you get. So you might think loading on a ton of armor or magic resist will make a unit unkillable, but you're actually getting less value for each point of armor, or MR. Although, when it comes to Braum with Thornmails, negated physical damage includes the bonus from his shield, creating some big damage reduction numbers, which then makes it worthwhile stacking on the defense, especially because he makes it his business to be shut. But for now, the most powerful base item. When equipping a recurve bow or adding any other buff, just remember attack speed always equals original attack speed times all the added up bonus attack speed, meaning faster attacking champions will benefit way more. This number represents attacks per second and has a limit of 5, but can be broken when a Blade Master proc occurs, where a unit will gain 200% attack speed for the next few attacks. Note, this isn't just adding 200% over the limit, but also begins to incorporate all the attack speed that was left out from the max cap. So the game remembers how much attack speed it should be at without the cap, but only applies this when the Blade Master buff is occurring. For example, if my Varus has a ton of Rage Blade and Wild stacks, but is capped at 5, the instant a Blade Master buff occurs, the game will ignore the cap and use those left out stacks along with the 200%. Rangers also gain 200% bonus attack speed, but it is for a length of time instead and won't break that cap. Just remember, your units will only be going up infinitely when using Blade Masters, and it's only for short bursts. Equally as important though are traits, which create strong synergy buffs. Most champs have one origin and one class. Even though synergies require different trait sharing champions, keep in mind that it's sometimes worth using duplicate units for the buff. And a great way to fulfill these synergies easier is to build with this Spatooola. This can combine with certain items to add another trait and double the stats of its joined item. Even though Force of Nature can boost the max number of units from 9, sometimes it's worth creating a super multi-trait unit over the extra slot due to how powerful one unit can be. But be careful, as items can never outmix and besides selling, will only pop off when you give them a trait they already have, or you combine champions who have over 3 items or holding one of the solo items. In this case, unbuilt items will start to merge first, then the game will randomly decide what stays and what goes in creating that fully equipped unit. So without that mighty spatula, you're leaving up to chance when trying to remove items. Oh, and it's handy to know that in overtime, the game isn't sped up. Instead, it goes into an ultra rapid fire mode, where all units become much stronger. Yes, come on, bro! Generally, good players will use this information in the early game to get the most value out of units, while moving towards those recommended late game compositions. The most important thing is to make sure that you're making decisions of what you're getting, and only until you become certain of your endgame composition should you start committing to the items on champions. Or when you're close to dying. It really does suck in the late game to have less ideal items on champions that you can't really sell since they fill out synergies too well. In these situations, it might be best to find more duplicates, not to create a rank 3 unit, but just to move the items around. Overall, that's the general gist of how stats operate, but there's still a ton of sneaky mechanics around how every ability works. Also, the easiest way to recap all this information is to check out my Discord, Facebook, or Twitter. And of course, there's always the content section. But to see how I uncover more complex details hidden in this game, make sure to subscribe and drop a like. Also, I love seeing your thoughts and ideas in the comments section. Was there any surprises in this guide? Or was there anything you missed out? Regardless, I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.